The Red Raiders have all but secured their spot in the NCAA tournament that is set to start in just a couple of weeks. Where are the Red Raiders projected to play in March Madness, and which seed could the Red Raiders end up having? We'll discuss that and much more in today's video, including how many Big 12 teams are projected to make the big dance. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast, and some exciting news for y'all. We know Texas Tech is going to make the NCAA tournament, and we will have a live stream of that game here on that channel. So if you want to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube, it's really simple. Just do three things for me. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. And, well, come hang out with us while we watch the Red Raiders hopefully get an NCAA tournament win under Grant McCasland in year number one of his tenure out in the 806. And before we get into the key metrics for Texas Tech, where they're projected by some bracketology sites, and the overall outlook for the Big 12, I want to hear from you guys. Predict it for me. Texas Tech men's basketball will be a blank seed in the NCAA tournament. You thinking as high as a 5, maybe a 10? I obviously know that there's 2 games left in the regular season, but I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what your projected seed is for the Red Raiders when Selection Sunday inevitably comes around. All right, let's look at some key metrics before we jump into this bracketology outlook for the Red Raiders. KenPom has the Red Raiders at 33rd with the 20th best adjusted offense in the country. Now, the net rankings, they're going to be the lowest out of any site that we look at right now for the Red Raiders. They have the Red Raiders all the way down at 42nd. D-Ring, Bart Torvark, where we get some of those odds for the Red Raiders in terms of the percentage chance that they have of winning their next game. He has them at 39th, and the BPI has the Red Raiders as the 31st best team in the country. Now, Texas Tech has a chance in these final 2 regular season games against Oklahoma State and Baylor, and also in Kansas City, to potentially move up a seed line or 2. And we'll talk about where these bracketology sites have the Red Raiders here in just a second. But it's big if Texas Tech can beat Oklahoma State and then beat Baylor, or at least keep it close. They have a chance to potentially be that 4 seed out in Kansas City, which would be huge because of the double bye and give the Red Raiders a better chance at a quad 1 win opportunity, which would, increase their chances of maybe going up a seed line or 2, depending on who the opponent is. But before we talk any more about March Madness, it's right around the corner, and you need your new favorite Texas Tech shirt, and you can get it over at homefieldapparel.com. Use the code BACK12 to save 15% off your entire purchase over on Home Field, whether that's the bomber jacket, the Texas Tech vintage t-shirts, you got sweatpants over there, whatever it may be. Step up your Texas Tech apparel game over at homefieldapparel.com and save 15% when you use the code BACK12. All right, let's look at the Texas Tech bracketology outlook. Just a couple weeks away from Selection Sunday. You got ESPN having the Red Raiders as the 8th seed in the East region, facing off against the team that I want nothing to deal with, and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And oh, by the way, that 8-9 would face off against the defending national champions in the UConn Huskies. That's a hard pass for me. Then you've got Bracketville, 9 seed in the West region, facing off against a familiar face in this situation in Buzo. Up at Boise State, the 8 seed Broncos. That game would be out in Salt Lake City. Now, CBS Sports is the highest projected in terms of the bracketology sites for the Red Raiders. They have them as the 6th seed out west. Again, you want to be in the West region, or in the South region, if possible, if you're the Texas Tech Red Raiders, for the sheer fact of if you do make it to the second weekend, you'll be playing in Dallas-Fort Worth. Now, the 6th seed in the West region would be matched up against, one of the play-in teams. It would either be St.Johns or the Colorado Buffalo. That game would take place out in Omaha. Now, Joe Lunardi has said multiple times when discussing Texas Tech that they just needed 8 wins to get into the NCAA tournament. Well, they're at 9. So that must mean that Texas Tech is simply playing for seeding at this point. And I really tend to agree. Texas Tech is a lock in the tournament. It's just, where are they going to be seeded? I could see them seeded as high as a 10 seed, all the way as low as like a 6 seed, depending on how this last week of the regular season goes, and then how they produce out in Kansas City. There's a lot for Texas Tech out there in terms of on the table to increase their resume and have a chance to really be in that South region, which, as I mentioned, would be pivotal for Texas Tech. Now, Granted, they have to win 2 games to get there, but it would be nice to have that as a possibility since Texas Tech's largest alumni base is in DFW. Now, again, if you want to be a part of the largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube, it's really simple. You just need to do 3 things for me. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. I just mentioned we're going to have a live stream here on the channel giving live commentary about Texas Tech's first NCAA tournament game in the Grant McCasland era. So if you want to be a part of that and chat with really probably hundreds, thousands of Red Raiders tuning into that game, well, this is the place to do it. And all you have to do is 3 simple steps. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. All right, let's look at the outlook for the Big 12, because I think that's super interesting from the standpoint of, I guess, a broad paintbrush. Bracketology sites, all 3 of them that I look at, have the Big 12 getting 9 tournament bids. I don't think that that's shocking. I think really at one point there was a chance that the Big 12 would get 10, maybe 11, but 9 feels like almost that concrete number unless you see like a team like Cincinnati go on a magical run in Kansas City. But I think 9 is going to be the amount of bids that the Big 12 gets in March Madness. Now, that being said, the next closest conference to the Big 12 in terms of projected tournament bids is the SEC with 7. We all know that the Big 12 is the best conference in America. That's not up for debate. I think that we've known that for, I don't know, going on a decade plus now at this point. But it is good to see that the Big 12 is going to be heavily represented. And Texas Tech has a good chance, and I'll pull it back up for you guys in terms of where they have them projected, to really make some noise, because as we've seen in March Madness, and really this is for any Big 12 team, not just Texas Tech, Big 12 teams are battle tested when they go into the NCAA tournament, and they seem to produce year in and year out better than really any other conference. And that's because they go through the best gauntlet of games in the, well, college basketball, right? I mean, you think about it. If it's not a quad 1 opportunity each and every night in the Big 12, you've got 18 Big 12 games. It's a quad 1 opportunity in at least 15 of them, maybe even 16 of them. Okay. And so you're battle tested, and you've seen it year in and year out that Big 12 teams seem to make it further in the tournament than a lot of other conferences, and not just one team. I'm talking multiple teams, it feels like. And Texas Tech is obviously in there. I don't think anybody would want to play Texas Tech, especially if Warren Washington is as close to 100% as he could possibly get and play in the NCAA tournament, whether that's 75%, 80%, whatever it may be. There's a lot of dark horse teams in the Big 12, and I think Texas Tech is one of them in terms of potentially making the second weekend that people aren't projecting. Obviously, the Houstons of the world, the Kansases of the world, and the Iowa States, people are going to project them to make the second weekend. But I think Texas Tech is in this group of other teams that are in the Big 12 that have a chance to make a little bit of a run, especially if the Red Raiders get back on track shooting, which they did out in Morgantown. All right. One more time, I want to hear from you guys. Predict it for me. Texas Tech will be a blank seed in the NCAA tournament. I get it. There's 2 more regular season games plus Kansas City, but I want to hear from you guys. I think it's going to be a pretty big indicator on how you feel this last week and what the Red Raiders will do in Kansas City with what seed you pick. Let me know down on the pinned comment below. And maybe most importantly, again, I know that was a big announcement. We will have a live stream on here giving live commentary, discussing stats, what Texas Tech is doing, and just an overall March Madness outlook while giving you, well, what's going on in Texas Tech's first NCAA tournament game of the Grant McCasland era. So if you want to join the largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube, it's really simple. 3 simple steps. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to join the Back to 12 squad right here on YouTube.